Hey everybody, welcome back to Ink Play Quest. My name is Nathan, and today we are going to be reviewing all of the Amber cards from Azurite Sea for Cube. So I'll do this for each of the 6 ink colors, and then we'll talk through what I think about each card. I'm going to use tiers in this video, so we'll start with an A tier card is clearly powerful. It's in the top 10% of cards in its color. Looking for like 3 to 5 per color in this tier. These are like the, Tinkerbell, Giant Fairy, Merlin Rabbit, Diablo, the good cards. B, they might get there. I'm happy to try them out in Cube. Now, over time, what constitutes, say, like a B card in my Cube versus a B card in each set might kind of be it might change a little bit over time. Cards are going to probably progressively get more powerful. But we'll see. These are sort of like the happy to try these cards. C are marginal, replaceable cards, either, sort of mid-level, fine putting them in a deck, but you're not super thrilled to put them in your deck. Might try these out in my Cube if it's sort of a strict upgrade against a card that's already in the Cube. My goal is to phase out vanilla characters from my Cube, so I might try these marginal cards if they can replace a vanilla. D are cards that are too weak or too narrow. So this is either cards that are just understated, really fragile, really hard to get into play, or cards that are very niche for a specific archetype. So I'm going to put most of the cards in, say, like the Pirates or Inventor category in this tier for now. I think that if you can support specific archetypes in your Cube, those kinds of cards can be great. But for like a general Cube review, I'm going to put very niche archetype cards in D tier for now. And then we're going to talk about vanilla cards very briefly. These are characters with no effects or only one keyword. So a character that just has Challenger or just has Rush, I'm going to put them in the vanilla category, and we're going to sort of breeze through those all in one fell swoop. Not a lot to talk about with those characters anyway. So in Amber and Azurite Sea, here are 4 vanilla characters. None of them stand out that much to me. Prince Naveen, there's a new shift target. Simba, there's a new shift target, but I'm not going to be including these in my Cube for the very likely not to include these. And then we're going to work through the rest of the cards in ink cost order, starting with Rabbit, Indignant Pirate. When you play him, you can remove up to 1 damage from chosen character. We've seen this effect on at least a couple other characters. I think it's just thoroughly a marginal card, potentially can prevent your character from losing a second challenge, but not what I'm super excited about. Good job. Okay, so this is a really interesting card that I think is going to be pretty bad. I think the upside for this would be to put it on a character that can quest repeatedly. Then you obviously get more than 1 lore out of this card. But for the vast majority of characters, this is a 1 ink plus 1 lore card. It's a 1 ink card that gets you exactly 1 lore. That's under the rate that you're hoping for. So I think this is a D card. We're not interested in trying this out in my Cube for now. Now, Naveen's Ukulele, I think, is an insanely powerfully built upside card. So this is 1 cost, inkable. Pay 1 ink, banish this item. Chosen character counts as having +3 cost to sing songs this turn. This should be viewed as like a insane combo card. This enables some very, very powerful overrate combos, like having your Cinderella Ballroom Dancer or Ballroom Sensation. The 1 cost Cinderella can sing Whole New World on turn 2 with this card. Ursula, Deceiver of All, can sing some of the most powerful songs in the game twice with this card. I think the downside is this is a 1 cost inkable item. Very, very, very flexible, can slot into any deck, and the upside is huge. So I'm going to give this an A. I'm definitely including this in my Cube. Pooh's Pirate Ship, 1 cost uninkable item that taps to return a pirate card from your discard to your hand if you pay 3 ink. I think this is pretty thoroughly a D item. Not interested in including this in my Cube. You could include this if you have a very thematic pirate Cube. If you, say, have 1 character type supported for, each ink color. Maybe, you have pirates, you have dwarves, you have eels. But I think this is too inflexible to be considered. 100 Acre Island, a 1 cost This is a location for 1-cost inkable during an opponent's turn whenever a character is banished. While here, gain 1 lore. So this has 1 more willpower than the cycle of 1-cost vanilla locations, and it doesn't gain you lore unless you put a character here. I think this is marginal. I think it is potentially like a late game upside, where if you quest with a bunch of characters, play this, put all your characters in 100 Acre Island, then your opponent can't banish your characters, and then you can quest for, lethal on your next turn. But I think that I'm not probably going to try this out. It's a payoff for like a go wide aggressive strategy, but there are already other cooler payoffs for that. Maybe we'll see some interesting results with this card, but I think it's a C. Lilo, Escape Artist, 2-cost inkable character. At the start of your turn, if this character is in your discard, you may play her, and she enters play exerted. I think this is a slam dunk A. I think this is potentially the most powerful card from Amber in the entire set. This is obviously just like a recursive, powerful quester for cheap. If she can always present 2 lore threat that your opponent has to answer. So like in your late game, if you've escalated to 16 to 18 lore and you just keep playing her every turn for the low cost of 2 ink, your opponent has to deal with her or they lose. She also enables some crazy combos. There's the Ruby Hades that you can pay 3 and banish a character of yours to banish a character of your opponent's, and so Lilo can always come back and be fodder for that effect. I think this is just and the fact that it's inkable, this is just a really great card, and I'm excited to put this one in my cube as well. Winnie the Pooh Honey Pirate, a 2-cost uninkable character with support, and when it quests, you may pay 1 less for your next pirate you play this turn. This is like a worse doc. I'm not super interested in this card. I think it's a D. I think if you're like drafting this at your local game store, drafting Azurite Sea, maybe try it out, the pirate archetype, but I'm not interested in including the entire pirate archetype in my cube. And that's something you're going to see throughout this review, is like all the pirate cards are just kind of understated for what they are, and you have to kind of put all of them to get the benefit of them. So right now I think this is a D. Grand Councilwoman Federation Leader, it's a 2-cost inkable character. When she quests, your other aliens get +1 lore this turn. I think this is one of the weaker sort of anthem effects. My favorite is Anna, the 4-cost inkable Sapphire Knight, that when she quests, all your heroes get +1 lore. I think this is just too fragile of a body. There aren't enough good aliens. Hero is sort of a character type that's sort of incidentally good because there are a ton of heroes. The hero archetype sort of transcends most card types in Lorcana, but not as many aliens that I'm looking for. So I think this is a C. 2-cost 1/3 inkable. The downside is low because it's just a cheap inkable character, but I think it's pretty marginal. Rue Littlest Pirate, a 2-cost inkable character. When you play this character, you may give chosen character -2 strength until the start of your next turn. I think this is pretty good. I think this is a B card because I think the ability to have this come down and favorably trade your 1-drop into their 1-drop without losing your character is pretty strong. Again, low downside, 2-cost inkable. It is a pirate for what it's worth. Wish it were like a hero instead of an ally, but I think this kind of effect is cool. And there are a lot of effects like this in Amber where you reduce your opponent's character's strength, and I think that is potentially a powerful mechanic that is seeing a lot more representation in Azurite Sea. I Won't Give In, a 2-cost inkable song that says return a character card with cost 2 or less from your discard to your hand. I think this is also pretty good. I think it's a B. It lets you return some of your smaller, more aggressive threats later in the game to, potentially present lethal. Also, it has good combo potential with things like Ursula, Deceiver of All to get back a couple characters. Songs are great. Inkable songs are better. This is not card advantage, but it is sort of card selection and recursion. I think this is a pretty reasonable song that I'll probably try out in my cube. Rescue Rangers Away. 2-cost inkable action, not a song. Count the number of characters you have in play. Chosen character loses strength equal to that number until the start of your next turn. So there's another action that is kind of like this coming up soon, but this I think is also pretty decent. Obviously, this requires that you have several characters in play to be at its best, but it is both defensive and offensive, or it can function as either. You can either have characters in play reduce the strength of their exerted character, challenge it, and trade for it favorably, or you can reduce the strength of their character in a defensive way to protect your like high questing, maybe a 1 or 2 drop Maleficent or Pinocchio. So I think this is decent. The fact that it's inkable and in action also kind of helps out. The only issue is you do have to have kind of a wide board for this to work well, but I'm willing to give it a B, maybe on the lower end of B, to try it out. Safe and Sound, now this is similar, where it's a defensive action, but it does not have the offensive upside of the previous card. It's 2 cost uninkable and says chosen character of yours can't be challenged till the start of your next turn. Now this can win you the game, right? So you can have, if you have like a 5 cost Kuzco that's exerted, or you quest with the Kuzco, and then you play this, and then they can't challenge it, and your Kuzco has ward. But this is sort of, it's more narrow, it's uninkable, and it can't be used offensively, so I think I'm going to give it a C. I'm willing to be wrong about this card, but I think just preventing one of your characters from being challenged for the cost of a card, and it's uninkable, seems a little underpowered to me, but we'll see. Scrump. It's a 2 cost inkable item, and you can tap one of your characters to give chosen character -2 strength till the start of your next turn. So, importantly, this item does not tap when it's being used. It doesn't exert. So you can do this effect multiple times without making the item unavailable. I think it's exerting your character without getting that much value out of it, I think is a little bit too high of a price. It's inkable and it's 2 costs, so it's not a huge upfront cost to play this item, and potentially you can kind of blow out your opponent quickly, because the exerting effect of this does not require that your character be dry, because it's not your character exerting itself. It's another effect of yours exerting your character. So you can like play a character, play Scrump, exert your still drying character, and then trade off. But it's kind of a lot. Makes your character vulnerable. I'm gonna go with C for this one, but again, willing to be proved wrong, and I like these kind of unique effects. Sugar Rush Speedway, 2 cost uninkable location, move cost of 6, willpower of 7. When you move a character here from a location, you may banish this location to gain 3 lore and draw 3. So obviously an absurdly strong upside for this location for the low cost of 2 uninkable. The move cost is extremely high, and I think this card basically requires you to build around it in a way for you to move characters here for free for it to be good. I think like playing this on turn, 8, playing it and moving a character here for 3 lore and draw 3 is probably too weak, but there are ways to play this with other location payoffs that make this absurdly strong, and for that, I'm going to give it a B. I'm also willing to be wrong about this in the opposite direction. I think maybe I'm overrating the upside here and underrating the extremely high cost, but like, I look at this as the best location payoff in the entire game right now. So if you have Jim Hawkins, the 5 cost Ruby Jim Hawkins, play him, get a location for free, and then the next turn play this, move Jim Hawkins there for free, draw 3, gain 3 lore. It sounds just like exactly what I want to be doing with this card. So I'm going to give this a B. It's so strong. I love these very unique effects, as I've said several times already. This set is looking pretty cool mechanically. Owl Pirate Lookout, 3 cost inkable character, 3/3 stats. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, chosen opposing character gets -1 strength till start of your next turn. So there's this cycle of characters that have this whenever a card is put into your inkwell condition. So you can think of these as either the stated cost on the card, so this card's a 3, or you can think about this as a 4 cost character, because you really want, if you want to get value off of this card the same turn you play it, you want to play it and then ink. So in that way, you're kind of quote unquote spending 4 ink to get this card's effect. But I think these repeatable incremental advantage cards are kind of cool, and for that reason, I'm going to give this card a B. The fact that you get to ice block your opponent every turn just for the low cost of putting an ink in your inkwell seems kind of cool to me, and I'm willing to definitely try this card out in my cube. Chip, Friend Indeed. Whenever you play this character, chosen character gets +1 lore pip this turn for 3 cost inkable. I think this is a C. This is a pretty marginal effect, because if you compare this to the vanilla 3 cost inkable characters that have 3/3 and quest for 2, this is basically just that. But it doesn't have to quest to get one of those 2 lore. For that reason, I think this is pretty marginal. I mean, 3/3 for 3 inkable is fine, but the effect is certainly nothing to write home about. Thoroughly a C. Dale, Friend in Need, 3 cost inkable, 3/4, quests for 2 when it enters, this character enters exerted unless you have a chip in play. Now, I am very reluctant to give any of these kinds of cards more than a D, and that's no exception here, because there are not going to be a lot of chips or dales in any given cube unless there's some absurd chip or dale printed in the future. So this is almost always going to enter as a 3/4 exerted that quests for 2. Yeah, but sort of by rule, if a character requires there to be another named character to get an effect, otherwise it's underrated, I'm not really gonna try it out in cube, so I think this is a D. David, Impressive Surfer, similar thing here. 3 cost character that has 3/3 and quest for 1 lore pip. And while you have a Nani in play, it quests for 2 extra lore. So this is just going to be like worse than the 3 cost chip we just saw, because it's almost never going to get more than 1 lore. And like I just said, this is a D. Very flavorful cards, right? Like, there are a lot of these cards throughout the Lorcana sets that I think are kind of neat and maybe good for like a casual constructed deck with 8 Nanis and 4 Davids or something. But I think for cube, it's a D. Tiana, Restaurant Owner. Very excited about this one as well. This is a 3 cost uninkable character, Storyborn Hero Princess, 1/4 quests for 2. Whenever a character of yours is challenged while this character is exerted, the challenging character gets -3 strength this turn unless their player pays 3 ink. So, you play this on 3, you quest with her on 4. If you have any other characters in play, that presents a pretty challenging decision for your opponent, because if they are going to challenge Tiana, they have to pay 3 extra ink, or if they want to challenge multiple of your characters, they'll have to pay 3, 6, or 9 ink or whatever. I think this character is super strong. Another one of the characters I'm most excited to include in my cube, but it only costs 3 and it quests for 2. With an extremely powerful defensive ability for, say you build a more aggressive cube deck. It's just protecting a lot of your smaller, fragile characters. I think this is another A. Very excited to try out Tiana. And her Enchanted is very cool as well. Hope to get one of those for inclusion in my cube. Kanga, Nurturing Mother, 3 cost uninkable, Storyborn Ally, 2/4 stats, quests for 1. Whenever she quests, another chosen character of yours can't be challenged until the start of your next turn. Pretty cool defensive ability. I think this is worth checking out. So she quests on 4, protect your highest questing other character. So if you have one of the 2 cost 3 questers, or say you play this a little later and you have a 4 quester or something. Again, these defensive abilities are interesting. So compare this to the action that does the same effect. I think it's a lot better when it's on a body, because then first of all, it doesn't require Kanga to stick around. So Kanga kind of, quests for relatively free here. You don't have to make any internal decision about keeping her ready to avoid the effect turning off. But cool card. Willing to try it out. Mr. Litwack. 3 ink, 2/3, quests for 1. So this is a kind of a weird variation of this frequently seen ability, Whenever you play another character once during your turn, you may ready this character but can't quest or challenge the rest of the turn. So it's ostensibly it's a defensive ability, right? You quest with him, play another character, play a 4-drop, and then ready him. I guess you could quest or challenge with him, play a character, and then sing a song with Mr. Litwack. It's kind of interesting, but I'm not super into this ability. I think there are other kinds of... I think this is probably better when it just says you can't quest, because those are more like aggressive, challenge-focused characters. I can't quite tell what to do with this guy, so I'm going to put him at C. Chief Bogo Gazelle Van, 4-cost inkable character. If you have a Gazelle in play, it gains Singer 6. I think this is a D. This might be the worst of these that we've seen so far. I mean, 4/4 stats are fine, but giving your character Singer 6 for the high cost of having another specific exact character in play, I'm never going to see that in my cube, so I don't want him in my cube. Chip Ranger Leader, 4-cost character, 3/4. Same stats as the Dale we saw earlier, and then when you have a Dale in play, this character gains support. Again, I think this is just thoroughly... well, let's see. 3/4. I don't know. This is right straddles the line for me. I had it down as a C. I was talking myself into a D. Okay, so 4-cost, 3/4, quest for 2. Doesn't come into play exerted. Gains a small minor upside when you have a Dale. I don't know. This is a C or a D. Let's leave it at C because the stats are okay. It doesn't come into play exerted. I'm not thrilled about this card. It's not going in my cube anyway. Now this card I think is kind of cool. Dale Mischievous Ranger, 4-cost, 3/4, quest for 1. Whenever you play this character, you may put the top 3 cards of your deck into your discard to give chosen character -3 strength at the start of your next turn. So this not only has this interesting -3 strength ability we've seen a few times in this set so far, but also puts the top 3 of your deck into your discard. So that fuels Chernabog, that gives you things to recur with Perdita or Snow White, that maybe you put your Lilo into your discard and then you can recast her later. I think this is a very cool ability that may, on first read, seem like a downside for you, but I think actually putting 3 cards into your discard is kind of like, it's similar to drawing 3 in that you have them available to use later if you have a deck that's built around it. So I think this is a B. I'm definitely going to try this card out if I can muster up enough discard synergies. Yeah, this is the only of the Chip and Dale cycle so far that I am interested in playing in my cube, which, you know, kind of makes the other Chips and the other Dales not as worth, but I think this is an interesting card. Prince Naveen, Vigilant First Mate, 5-cost inkable, 2/6, quest for 2. It is shift 3 and it is bodyguard. Good keywords. Floodborn Hero Prince. Those all are relevant keywords. There are not a ton of other Naveens that I have in my cube currently or am going to add in my cube, so the shift is not super relevant. Bodyguard's okay. I think this is C. This is sort of the prototypical, like, fine everywhere, good nowhere card. This is almost a vanilla, right? This is just a vanilla shift, so it has a 1 keyword. I don't know. Maybe there's another term for that, because so vanilla means like no abilities. Some people say French vanilla when they have a character with just 1 ability, like just Rush, just Challenger, just Bodyguard. This is like spicy French vanilla, but again, it's marginal. I think it's a C. Nani Caring Sister. This is an interesting one. 5-cost inkable, 3/5, quest for 2 with support. And then I Am So Sorry is her activated ability to ink, and you don't exert her. This is just you pay 2 ink and chosen character gets -1 strength until the start of your next turn. So compare this to the Owl. The Owl obviously costs more. His stats are worse. And you can usually only get his ability once per turn. Nani, if you have 10 ink or something, you can, you know, exert all of your ink and give 5 instances of -1 strength. So I think this is a really cool card. I'm excited to try this one out because these ink sinks, abilities that let you incrementally spend all of your inkwell are pretty cool. We haven't seen a ton in Lorcana yet. This would be like, well, this is not Kicker. Kicker is an ability for Magic the Gathering. But this is just an ability that lets you spend your ink if you have extra ink to spend, and I think it's this is a B for me. This is a interesting card. And support is not an irrelevant ability either. I think support is kind of sneaky underrated. So I'm excited for Nani Caring Sister. Simba Pride Protector. Okay, this is going to be my last A of the day. 5 cost, uninkable 4/4, shift 3. There are a few Simbas I have in my cube, so this shift might be relevant. At the end of your turn, if this character is exerted, you may ready your other characters. So that's all of your other characters. You need him to be exerted for this to go off. So this could come down on turn 3 if you have a 1 or 2 cost Simba. Quest with him immediately, ready your other character. At that point, it would be other character. You'd probably only have one other character, but that's like the early case. Or this can sort of be a protection for the rest of your board at the end of the game to present lethal. And like some of the other abilities, this doesn't need to stay on the field for your ability to go off. It just happens, and then if your opponent, gets rid of your exerted Simba, your other guys are still ready and ready to quest for the win. I think this is a really cool one. I think this is maybe the weakest of the 4 A's that I've given out. I think I'm more excited about Lilo, Tiana, and Naveen's ukulele, but this is just a pretty powerful effect that can win you the game. And the keyboards are all relevant. The art is amazing. Happy to give this one an A. Judy Hopps Resourceful Rabbit, 6 cost inkable character, 3/6 quests for 2 with support. At the end of your turn, you may ready another chosen character of yours. And yes, this works with Simba, right? I mean, let's see. Your other characters, another chosen character. Yeah, I think these effects both go into the bag at the same time, and you can ready the rest of your characters and then ready Simba, and that's a pretty great combo. I think Judy Hopps, the effect is not as widespread as Simba, but she doesn't need to be exerted, so it can happen the turn that you play her. I mean, you can play, I keep thinking about the Emerald 5 cost uninkable Cusco because I played a lot of set 1 and I love that card. But think about, play him on 5, quest with him on 6, play Judy Hopps, ready your Cusco. That seems amazing. So I think this is a pretty strong ability. I think she's a B. All right, Jim Hawkins, Honorable Pirate, 7 cost inkable, Dreamborn Hero Pirate Captain. I think we've had 5 or 6 character types, so this is not the most, but it looks cool. 4/7 Bodyguard. When you play this character, look at the top 4 of your deck, reveal any number of pirate character cards, and put them into your hand, the rest on bottom of deck. This card's so cool, but I think it's a D in cube. These kinds of effects that require... There's also like a queen from the last set that does this. Cards that look at the top X of your deck and then take all of the, whatever cards among those and put them in your hand. Super powerful if you can build around this in a constructed deck, like a casual constructed pirate deck, and all of your cards are pirates, then you're always drawing 4 when you play this. That's great. There are not going to be that many pirates in my cube. If you draw 2 off of this, you're insanely lucky. If you draw 1, you're still probably kind of lucky. I think this is a D. Not worth it on the stats alone, and the effect probably will never go off to a meaningful amount in cube. But great art, great character, cool in like a casual pirate deck, I guess. And I think this is the last card of the Amber cards. We have Chippendale Recovery Rangers. Another one of these dual character Floodborns like Flotsam and Jetsam from a couple sets ago. 8 cost uninkable shift 5, 6/6 quest for 3. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, you may return a character card from your discard to your hand. Pretty cool card. 8 cost uninkable, shift for 5 onto a Chip or Dale. I think this is marginal. The effect is obviously insanely strong, right? Every time you ink, you get to put a character back in your hand. I mean, that might be one of the most powerful and easy to get off effects that we've seen in Lorcana, but unfortunately, like 8 cost uninkable, you're not shifting this that often. If you shift this on turn 6 and then get its effect off with the 1 remaining ink you have, that's probably insanely good. 6/6, hard to banish. You're going to get 3 ink out of it, but I mean, I'm only going to put 1 chip or Dale in my cube. It's going to be the Dale that mills 3. And then you have Morph. I don't know. I might try to slot this in because it's so evocative and cool, but it's probably not quite there. So let's give it a C. All right, so here is all of the cards that we talked about today. We have vanillas at the bottom. Just not that they're in and of themselves weaker than any of the like D tier cards, but I just think that of the vanilla cards that we've seen in Amber, none of them are that exciting. But anyway, here's the tier list. Very excited about the 4 A's, and then there are probably 2 or 3 of the B tier cards that I want to try out in my cube. Yeah, and that's Amber and Azurite Sea for cube. Let me know what you think about my ratings, the format of the videos. Happy to hear any feedback. I'll keep it the same format for the rest of the colors for this set, but maybe going forward we can change things up. Only focus on like the top 10 cards I think are relevant for cube in each color, but for now, let's talk about every card. A lot of new cards out there. Excited to play with them this upcoming Friday at the time of recording. So, hope you enjoyed. I will see you back on this channel for Amethyst. See you next time, everyone.